G'day Gear Junkies, Jason here. My friends at Sonicake have sent me out a couple more of their mini pedals to check out. We have the Octaver and the Wave Crush. So let's check them out. So here's my clean sound. I'm using my Cort M600 with Seymour Duncan pickups, and I'm going through the classic gain channel of my Marshall DSL-40. It's a little bit broken up and it sounds like this. Not that the clean sound is going to matter much for this video. Anyway, we're going to start off with the Sonicake Octava. Now this is a vintage style Octaver in the mold of, say, a Boss OC2. If you've ever played a Boss OC2, you'll know that it is incredibly glitchy. Because it's analog, it can't replicate those signals perfectly, so particularly the second sub-octave will come in and drop out a lot. So this has two octaves and they're both underneath your dry signals. So we have one octave below and two octaves below. The knob in the middle here is my dry signal, so with everything down, I should have nothing. Okay, so if I turn up the dry signal, it's about unity gain right there. Okay, so the first octave, so one octave below my signal. And then we have two octaves below. Vintage analog octave pedals struggle to replicate low notes. So when I play a low note here, you'll hear the octave drop out and come back and drop out. So it's really struggling, particularly with that second sub-octave, trying to replicate that. But if I play a high note, it's much, much better at tracking that high note. So this type of Octaver is what we call monophonic, which means that it can only handle one note at a time. If you start to play chords, it's just too much for the pedal to handle. It can't reproduce that many notes all at once, and it just doesn't know what to do with itself. And sounds terrible. So the best way to use a pedal like this is to play individual lines, particularly up high. If I put some drive with that, I'm using the Rude Mouse, also by Sonicake. Yeah. This can help you get that sort of Matt Bellamy Muse guitar tone, as well as people like Jack White, who also use octave as well. So although it can't track chords very well, it does seem to track slides and bends pretty well. Sounds great. Next up, we have the Wave Crush. Now, this pedal is a sample reducer. Basically, it corrodes your signal. So the main two controls we have on here are bit. So with it wound all the way up, we have 16-bit, which is CD quality. And then when you start to wind it back towards 0, it reduces that quality down to about 5-bit. And it starts to introduce things like noise, and it really degrades the signal. The knob in the middle is labeled Crush. Now, this is our sample rate. So if you know anything about digital technology, the sample rate is kind of how many snapshots, if you like, are taken of your waveform. And the more of those snapshots, the higher quality your sound will be. The fewer, the more degraded your sound will be. So turned all the way up, we should have the highest sample rate possible that we have from this pedal, which is, I think, 44.1, which is CD resolution. But then once you start to widen that down, it's going to really reduce the quality of our sample rate. We have a wet-dry mix on the far right. There's a 3-way mode selector at the top, and that gives us 3 kind of different voicings that really sort of affect the mid-range. So there's normal, there's radio, and there's gramophone. So at the moment, I've got all knobs at noon. So as you can hear, it starts to introduce noise. And some sort of digital distortion. I'm just going to turn the mix all the way up, so my signal will basically be just the Wave Crush. That almost sounds a bit like a ring modulator. So that's on the normal mode, so I'll change it to radio. So the bit knob really does sort of add in a lot of digital noise and distortion the further you turn it up. So when I'm turning that up, I'm degrading the resolution of the pedal. So now I'm on the gramophone setting. That really does sound now more like a ring modulator. So if you're sitting there wondering how the hell would I ever use a pedal like this, well, I can honestly tell you it took me a while to get my head around it, but I find that it works best when paired with a drive pedal. So I've got the Sonicake Rude mouse still plugged in. It's before the Wave Crush, which I think is important. So when I put the two together, and it gives you a really lo-fi, degraded sound. Recently, I saw the Canadian band Theory of a Dead Man supporting Hailstorm, and they previewed their newest song called Dinosaur, and the song opens with the main riff, but it sounds really lo-fi. And then all of a sudden, when the riff kicks in, it sounds really big and huge. And that's where I think a pedal like this can be used to great effect. So if you want to contrast your big rhythm guitar sound with a really thin sounding one, that's where you would turn on the Wave Crush to degrade your sound and then turn it off to have your sort of big sound. So I'll give you a bit of a demo of what that riff kind of sounds like. For the build-up section of the Rage Against the Machine song Born of a Broken Man, Tom Morello uses this really lo-fi guitar tone that goes into this, explodes into his big guitar tone. So I think you could probably use this pedal to do that sort of sound as well. On its own, I would find a pedal like this quite hard to work with, but when using it with drive, I think I could put a pedal like this to very good use to help to contrast against my main rhythm guitar tone. So I want to thank my friends from Sonicake for sending these pedals out, and I've put a link in the description below to their website if you want more product information on these pedals. These two pedals are available at the moment on the Sonicake website. One of the things I've got to give them a shout out for are these little Velcro strips that you can take off the back of the pedal and whack this Velcro strip on. I think that is a great idea. I think more pedal companies should be doing things like that. So thank you so much, Sonicake, for sending these out. I had a ton of fun and I really enjoyed it. So if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. If you want to support this channel, I've left a link in the description to the Middle Age Gear Junkie store where you can buy some merchandise, and that would really help me out. There's also a link there to the Middle Age Gear Junkie Facebook page. We'd love to have you on board. Other than that, my name is Jason. Have a wonderful day. See you later.